All right, hey, it's Rob, and what's wrong with this picture? All right, now, I've been doing, a few open mics lately, and I don't expect perfection, far from it. I know a lot of people maybe are just learning the instrument or whatever, don't have a lot of experience. I've been playing guitar for 45 years, so I've learned a few tips and tricks along the way. So this video is going to show you how you can avoid doing what I just did, which is letting the open E ring out when you're playing chords that you do not want to hear that E ringing out in, like C. So E is the third degree of C. It's in the chord, but that open E just tends to dominate, goes over the top of the chord, and does not sound right in most situations. So I'm going to show you just how to play the basic cowboy chords and, C major chords basically. And just show you some tips on how to keep that low E or whatever lower strings from ringing over your chords, which generally does not sound very good. Let's start on C. Again, you should only be playing, of course, the 5th string and up. You should be keeping this low E muted. Now, one way to do it always, of course, is to hang your thumb over the top and lightly just mute out the string so it doesn't make a note. So if I'm playing C, I can lightly mute it out with my thumb. It doesn't work all that well on C. It's hard to do because your thumb is way over here. You can do it. One solution I'm going to show you right now, play the low G. Sounds fine. The low G sounds nice under C. You have to change your fingering, of course. This is the normal fingering for C, where your 3rd finger is on the C. You've got to switch it around so your 4th finger is on the C. Your 3rd finger now goes on the low G, and then you finger the chord the normal way. Now you can play all the strings. It sounds wonderful. Again, the G is the 5th degree of C. And for whatever reason, it sounds fine underneath it compared to having that low E, rumbling underneath it. All right, so those are a couple solutions for C. D is another chord people always hit too many notes in. You can barely even hear that D that way. So one of the things you can do, again, is put a different bass note in there. The 3rd degree of D happens to be F sharp, and that sounds pretty good. So if I put my thumb on the F sharp, now it sounds like a chord. I really love this progression. E minor, D with the F sharp in the bass, to G. So you're walking up E, F, sharp, G. In that example, I'm strumming all of the strings, all 6 for E minor, all 6 for D, and all 6 for G. So in that case, you don't even have to think about which strings you're hitting. You can just strum away. So there's one solution for D right there, is to finger the F sharp in the bass. Of course, another solution is to just look at what strings you're hitting and only hit the higher strings. So if I'm going to play C, then I'm going to go to D. I'm just going to try to hit the top 4 strings. One more tip is to try to hit just the bass note as you're strumming. So I'll just hit the bass note D, and then I'll hit the chord. When you hit the bass note of the chord, wherever it is, it kind of positions your hand in the right place. So I know that I'm only playing the top part of the neck. I'm not playing these lower notes. If you get the A ringing out in D, it's not so bad. Of course, A is the 5th degree of D, and it kind of lays in there. But once you hit that E, all bets are off. All right, so those are your tips for D. E, of course, you are home free because those are all the strings ringing. You don't have to worry about E. F, again, people that want to play this kind of F here, where it's only 4 top 4 strings, you're going to have that problem there too. Solution for F, of course, is to play the bar. Another alternate fingering for F is to wrap your thumb around, hit the F note, and then play the inside notes there with your third, fourth, second, and first finger. Now the danger there is you get that high E ringing out. So you get, actually that high E ringing out actually sounds pretty good for a lot of songs. Of course, it's the, 7th degree of the scale, and, it actually sounds pretty decent, but, you're in less danger than having the low E ringing out, getting that terrible sound there. That's some tips for F. G, again, you're safe. G, you're hitting all the strings. A, now you got issues again. Even though E is the 5th degree, again, whenever you have that low E rumbling over a chord that's not E, you tend to just not hear the tonality of the higher chord. So again, another tip is mute it out or try to hit the A bass note. Muted so you don't hear it. Another tip for A and for the next chord B is you could actually play the E shape higher up. So E, A on the 7th in the 7th fret area, and B. Now you still have to mute out the low E, but you could play your B and your A up there. Again, it's the E shape. But moved up here, it's the same as playing the bar. Instead of playing the bar, you're only playing the E shape, leaving the bar off. B, you just move up 2 frets. And those are tips for A. B is a tough chord to play, and I'll be honest, even though I've been playing for 45 years, I tend to leave this bar chord where you have to flat out your 3rd finger. When I am doing anything on acoustic, it's a hard chord to find. The G bar chord, the normal bar chord, those are pretty easy to get to. But when you have to do that, you really are opening yourself up to hitting the wrong strings, barring the wrong thing. It's not terrible if you bar the low G if you're playing a C. But ultimately, you really just want to have the C and the bar. Then you have the top string to worry about, so that one's kind of a tough nut to crack. Like I said, I will tend to just avoid songs. On acoustic, of course, I can play that bar chord all day on electric, but I'll tend to avoid it just because a lot of times you're just not going to hit that chord right, that B bar chord, the chord where you have to flat out that finger there. And there you go. So those are all the chords all the way through from C to B, and tips that you can do to, once again, just be conscious and avoid that low E rumbling underneath there. It's just nothing takes you out of a song. If someone's trying to play, Lola by the Kinks and you've got that low E rumbling, it doesn't even sound like the same song. So once again, just keep that in mind. Try to mute it out when you can, or start to train yourself to only play the, higher strings and just leave that one out of the equation altogether. If you're playing A, I'm sorry, this guitar has gone out of tune just during the course of this lesson. It's a cheapo $100 Spanish guitar. But again, start to train yourself to just play the middle strings, the top strings, and, to not just, try to blindly strum across everything, because a lot of times that low E note or whatever is happening on the 6th string is not going to match. All right, thanks. I'm getting out of here.